Welcome back. It is I, flying solo during maternity leave, as you guys probably know. Or if it's your first time and you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, go back and listen, or don't. You'll figure it out. It won't be a big deal. Anyhow, we are back. By we, I mean me, myself, and I. If I have a Kayla update from Kayla, I'll be inserting it into this little podcast for y'all. And if I don't, I won't. Just mystery and suspense. Bum, bum, bum.
What up to the Turkeyverse? I miss you all. Thank you, Kailey, again for holding on the fort on the podcast. I just wanted to share a little snippet with you guys on how a new baby has been adjusting to mom life and all the things that no one tells you, or they do tell you and you don't really know how you're going to react until you're actually in the moment. So for instance, diaper changes are fun. Fun fact, I had never changed a diaper before, my own son, because I was never into babysitting, never did any nannying. Like, that just wasn't my style. We've talked about this before, but other people's kids, unless like I really know and love you, I am not good with other people's kids, so I've never changed anyone else's diaper. So that was a fun experience. Honestly though, it was not as bad as I was expecting. Like, the actual act of changing a diaper is not difficult at all, besides them squirming around and just making it a little more difficult because they're typically screaming and they're crying and flailing their legs and arms. But there was a funny little story I thought I would share with you guys. So our child he's a boy, so there's obviously something down there that can easily dispense pee, and it can go in multiple different directions. So we've heard stories of boys shooting out peeing while their diapers changed. There is a whole slew of things that we've heard, but we didn't know what to expect until we got there. So we have definitely gotten peed on quite a bit. We have both probably gotten peed on about 5 to 6 times on separate occasions, each of us. And I've got some tips and tricks at the end here to share to hopefully avoid that. But the first time it happened, it was very interesting. We were changing his diaper, and all of a sudden there's literally pee shooting out straight up and onto the both of us, onto the mat, onto him, onto the dresser, onto our clothes. And it's just, you don't know what to do. We freaked out. So we quickly threw like another diaper on top of him. We probably went through like 3-4 diapers while these things were happening until we figured out how to maintain and control the pee that was coming out. So fun fact, boys pee will literally shoot everywhere. So a couple friends recommended a PPTP. It's this like fabric that you actually put over, his situation down there while you're changing him and wiping up everything else. That isn't the greatest though, because he's flailing around so much that it tends to fall off or not stay on the one little area where you're trying to avoid getting peed on. Anyway, so I'm not a huge fan. Maybe we need to look into a different kind, but that is something that is available on the market. The other thing that we weren't expecting is the same thing happens with poop sometimes. So again, went through probably 3-4 diapers in one diaper change because the poop kept coming out and coming out and coming out. And at this point, it's very runny. Sorry if this is TMI. Very runny, yellow. It just keeps coming. And this past week, He's about, I would say, 2 weeks at this point. We changed his diaper. And while we were changing his diaper, not only did he poop and it kind of like ran down, he literally pooped and like it kind of shot out. Like shot out to the changing table, shot out, got on his clothes. It was a sight I have never seen before. So that was super interesting. Definitely was not expecting that. I knew it could happen with the pee, but not with the poop. So not really sure how to eliminate the poop situation from happening, but we have learned over the past couple weeks, before you undo the diaper, I learned this from somebody. It's either one of my friends or Instagram. Couldn't tell you, I'm sorry, but whoever told me this, thank you. Basically, before you take the diaper off, take a wet wipe and kind of rub, on the top of where the diaper is, like right under their belly button, to basically stimulate them and say, hey, we're about to do diaper change. And that typically helps them let go or release any additional pee that they have before you take the diaper off. So that has been major key over here to help us avoid getting peed on. I want to knock on wood right now, but it's been like 4 days since we've had any pee incidences. So hopefully that continues with this new trick. So yeah, y'all be careful out there if you have little boys, or if you do have boys and you've been through this stage already. If you have any more tips and tricks, I would love to hear from you and let me know if we're missing anything. But yeah, fun times with the diaper changes and the shooting pee and the explosive poop. Hope you guys enjoyed that story.
Anyway, we're back. Thank you, turkeys, as always, for listening. If you're new to the show, it is normally way cooler than this because Kayla is here with me. But for now, so that she can soak up all of her new squishy baby vibes, it is just me, Kailey, hosting and talking to myself like a crazy person. I had kind of thought about like putting something so I could talk to it. But for now, I'm just talking to my plants. Good enough. Did I talk about this last week? I feel like a parrot because I'm looking at myself talking. How like parrots look at mirrors. Anyway, I've got questions for y'all this week. And since Kayla's not here to answer them, I need you to respond somewhere. Social media, comments, the voicemail that we have posted in the show notes and at the end of the show, email nonsexualsoulmates@gmail.com. I don't care where. The only people that have sent me a message so far this week was some random guy that was trying to text Cliff or George or Drew. I can't remember. Apparently our podcast phone number has like the same number as his friend George Cliff. And to be honest, I just felt like responding. So I was like, George, Cliff, Heath, Ledger, what? And the guy was like, oh, this isn't my friend. I thought you have a very similar message or phone number. And I was like, no, this is the phone number for the Nonsexual Soulmates podcast. And he's like, oh, geez, shoot, sorry. And it was a 254 number. And actually, now that I'm talking about this, I kind of want to Google, like, where does 254 come from? Area code. Apparently, it is from the Waco Temple / Killeen area of Texas, which is funny because our area code is for 920. Anyway, so he was trying to message his friend. And I believed him up until the very end when he was like, oh, thanks for being nice. What's your name? I like to meet new people. And I was like, no. It makes me feel like it was a fishing expedition. But so I quit responding. But probably because I live in this fantasy land where like if I'm nice to a stranger, it will reduce itself into good karma and they'll like changed my life, that I'll probably end up responding. Do any of y'all do that? Like, you find a wallet on the street and you're like, oh man, I'm going to return this wallet to this person and they're going to be so thankful. They're going to like leave me their house as an inheritance. I don't know what kind of delusional get rich quick scheme that is, but it's definitely a fantasy I've played out in my head before. So in this version of Made Up Landia, this guy's like a podcast agent or something. And I'm going to be so nice to him that he'll listen to our show and think we're so funny and then be like, oh my God, I'll put you on the top chart of every platform and bada boom, bada bing, I can quit my day job. And I know that I should just be nice to people for the sake of being nice to people, but that's what I do literally all day at work. So y'all can shove it up your ass. Every once in a while, I dream about getting something in return. All right. In other news, I have scheduled a haircut. People, it's happening. You finally, after this week, don't have to listen to me talk about how I need to get a haircut because my hair looks religious. I've made an appointment at the Pensacola Hair Shop, shout out. And I'm very excited. And none of you that watch this will be able to see any change. And none of you that listen to this will be able to hear a change in the tenor of my voice based on the couple of minuscule millimeters I get chipped off my hair. But it'll feel better to me. I'm very excited. I was also too nervous to like book highlights without having talked to a person, even though I probably could have done it, but I just have this like, I need to walk before I run situation. So I'm sure it'll be great. It's a family member of a friend that owns it, and I'm sure all of it will be fantastic, but I just am still like, I want to know you a little bit before I change colors in my hair. Also, it's summertime here, and I don't know. Sometimes it's like, is it even worth it? Because the Florida sun is just going to fry my hair to shit. Anyway, none of these were the questions I was originally going to ask you guys. Okay. My real starting off question was, do people still collect things? Like, do people have collections? Is that a cool hobby? Because when I was a kid, it was totally a thing. And I'm trying to sort out if this was a generational thing. Like, I don't think people are doing it anymore. Gen Zs, are y'all collecting shit? Who's behind you? Gen AA? Itty bitty titty generation? I don't know. But are any of y'all collecting things, or was it more of the region I lived in? Like, I'm having a hard time sorting out, is a collection a Wisconsin behavior or an old person thing? Anyway, I definitely was bestowed a collection of precious moment statues. I need to know who else's parents were sucked into this trend as children, because was it my mom? Now I'm getting self-conscious. Or did my aunt buy me one every year on my birthday? Oh no, I'm going to get yelled at for this. Anyway, did anybody else have a precious moments collection? I believe I have ages 1 through 18 somewhere in a closet in this house. And so far, I haven't produced any heirs to bestow them upon. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, I'm trying to think of what other collections there were. They were always like people who had like a favorite animal. I think if Kayla were here, she would tell you she collected turtles. I feel like that might be a thing. I don't know if my mom had a collection because she just throws everything away. So the most she could collect is maybe like 1 or 2 things. And then it's like, oh, this is clutter, and then throw it out. She tried to start a collection for me for Christmas of long-legged things, like those gnome-looking guys that have long legs. And then she did it 1 year and then promptly forgot that it was a tradition. So between her disdain for clutter and her not real, but our joke early onset Alzheimer's, I don't know. I just went down a rabbit hole. Love you, Mom. But did anybody else have collections? I'm trying to think what other kids I knew. I feel like growing up that was cool, and kids would be like, "Oh, I have this collection," or like that like really cool kid that you thought was cool, but then probably didn't graduate high school, had like a shot glass collection when they were 8. And then, I'm like, what's a shot glass for? Because I was an idiot. Anyway, I need to know if people are still doing this. Other than kids in college who like collect the gross bottles of well liquor that they finish, because that's not a collection. That's a wall of shame. Okay. Anyway, curious about that. The other question that I have is, oh wait, no, this is an observation still on collections. I was thinking about it as I was making fun of it, and I guess that like fancy people collect wine and have like a whole wine bedroom in their house. So I guess there's that subset of people that still collects things. Jason and I kind of collect bourbon and scotch. Like we always used to try to find like a new bottle of bourbon from somewhere local if they had a distillery when we would travel. But now that it's summertime, we've switched to gin, which is very weird for me because I really like it, but I just never imagined myself a gin person. And it's fucking with my self-identity. I do know a few people who have like serious bourbon collections, and they piss me off because they don't drink them. How do you not drink it? I kind of understand some of the wine because you can't really open the bottle and then just leave it for another 10 years or like slowly drink it for 4 years because it would be gross. And some bourbon nut, if they ever hear this, is going to be like, well, actually, if you open the bottle, it causes... But as far as I'm concerned, I can open a bottle of bourbon and I can have half of a shot off of it. That's from like a fancy bottle. And we can clink and cheers and enjoy it. And then we can not touch it again for 6 months. So I don't understand people who are like brand new bottle of Pappy Van Winkle and haven't touched it. Like, how are you not curious? I think I would go home that day and crack it open. I just would need to know. I find this very disturbing. Moving on. I'm realizing that what I thought was me writing down questions, it was just all these other observations I had about collections. So I've talked about this before, but you guys, if you're new, I hope there's at least one or two newbies. I worked as a probation officer, so I obviously went into people's homes. And I definitely observed some collections that were really entertaining. I don't even know if I can describe them all that well, but I think my favorite was the shoe collection because they were displaying shoes in the same sort of like curio cabinet, like wood glass cabinet with backlighting that like my grandma used to display plates. And I can't tell you why, it made me so happy to see shoes where I had grown up looking at plates. It was the best. Honestly, I was more impressed with the shoes than anyone's china. I think I went in a house once too where they had like liquor on display in a cabinet. And I can't remember what brands they were. But that was always a fun time. Just the nosiness, I know this sounds bad, but just the nosiness of going into people's homes was so fun for me. I mean, you had to pay attention and obviously like not always safe, but it's just interesting the way that people live and the choices that they make for decorations. I was unendingly fascinated by people who there's like two types of people who open their blinds during the day and turn their lights on, and people who do not. And there'd be some homes you'd go into and you knew it was daytime, and other homes you went into and it was just a straight cave. And none of it was correlated to night shift versus day shift or anything. It was purely family lifestyle choice. I always thought that was really interesting. On a serious note, though, I will say that it's impossible for you to deny the humanity of a person when you go in their home. Or at least I thought it was. Because even some of the people who had like the most horrendous crimes, it's still like, I saw where you lay your head at night and sleep. Like, I saw your poop closet. I mean, you're still a person. Like, most of the day, you're a person. 90% of your life, you're a person. But then in this 10% of your life, you're a monster. And that was always interesting to me, because I think when you hear about crime and true crime and just all of that stuff, these people that do these weird, crazy things and hurt people, it seems like it should be the opposite, that they're consumed by being a monster 90% of the day, and then 10% of the day they're, doing normal human living. But it's really the opposite. And you could encounter them all day, every day, just on the road and in the street and in a store and at a restaurant. You probably wouldn't even know. I mean, there's some people but not always. It's been a lot of random discussion already. This is what happens if I don't have somebody here as a buffer. Pardon me, I need a beverage drink. Ooh. I'm drinking like blood orange ginger beer or some shit in my Nonsexual Soulmates mug, available on Etsy. Excuse me. Ooh, it's a little spicy. Anyway. Moving along. Okay, so all of this like collection talk is really just based on Kayla's not here. I burped out loud. Okay. All of this collection talk is really just me setting myself up to talk about how when I was a kid, I thought that I was collecting the smartest collectible item anyone ever dared collect. And I was convinced that I was going to retire on this investment. I mean, these things, I was going to buy them, keep them in mint condition, display cases, plastic boxes, the whole 9 yards, because someday they were going to be worth so much money. And I need to poll my mother and find out if they were hoodwinked into this too, because I feel like they were. I feel like they were just as convinced as I was that this was a good idea. And it was a terrible fucking idea. And I'm wondering if any of you listening right now can guess what I'm talking about. And I wish there were a way, this is obviously not live recorded, I wish that there were a way for me to peep into your minds and see what your guesses are. So I can't, but maybe send me a comment. Or I'll clip this for social media and post it so people can just like give us their thoughts. But I really want to know what you think I'm talking about based on me being a millennial. So my collection that was going to result in my ability to retire early, that I thought was the best investment plan, that I was so sure was going to pay off, was fucking Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies. Did you guys fall for this shit? Did you guys have Beanie Babies? Did you get the Princess Diana one? Did you keep the tag on and put her in a little plastic box? Or that little green one with the little 4-leaf clover? Don't remember what the fuck she was. The bears, the tie-dye bears, the platypus duck. Then I started collecting the McDonald's version of the toy. That's when I should have known. I should have known that if McDonald's is making a knockoff version of the thing that I think that's going to be worth money someday, it's not going to be worth any fucking money someday. Do you know how many allowances I spent on Beanie Babies? Those bitches were $5. Sometimes they were $7 and sometimes they were $10. And I bet you I had at least $100 worth. Do you know how much I wish that I would have just put that money into an IRA account and I didn't even know what that was until like a year ago. This is why money begets money. Anyway, I bought all those goddamn Beanie Babies. And where are they now? Where are all the Beanie Babies? That's what I need to know. Because I know that we all put them in garbage bags and dropped them off at our local Goodwill. Where did they go? Where are they? Do you think that the giant garbage island in the middle of the ocean is like 25% Beanie Baby? Do you imagine how haunting that would be? Just like Princess Diana, purple bears floating in a giant island of garbage. I'm really sad about this. Part of me wishes I still had them because it's just so embarrassing. But I wish I had just like clung on to the dream that they were going to be worth something, and then maybe it would have worked. Do you think that the nerds of the world could get together and do whatever it was they did to GameStop stock to Beanie Babies? Because I could really use like a Bitcoin money lifestyle change. Is anyone out there listening able to do that? I would really appreciate it. Another question that I have is, what was inside of the Beanie Babies? Was it just like, it wasn't beans. Was it just like plastic? I feel like it was heavier than that. I can hear the sound of them like jingling in my head. Also, do you guys know that you had to keep the tags on them or they weren't going to be worth any money? And I bought the Princess Diana one and I cut the tag off because I was sick of it. And then I had so much regret. I like stayed up at night regretting my decision to cut off the tag on Princess Diana. I was like, oh my God, she's not going to be worth any money now. And then I was trying to figure out how to like reattach it. Poor little Kailey didn't know that you could just go buy a little plastic red piece of shit tag and reaffix the little heart sticker onto there. Like how they put all the little price tags on all the used clothes at Goodwill. Like some motherfucker probably just stamped it through her ear when it got to the thrift store. Do you think that there's kids out there that are rediscovering Beanie Babies the way that they rediscovered half of the shit that I did in middle school? Like when chokers came back and we acted like they were new, but they weren't. I need to know. It's like those weird TikToks you see of kids that go find stuff in thrift stores and they're like, what's a tape cassette? And then everyone my age and older freaks out. Is there somebody doing that with Beanie Babies? Or are they like so stupid and so uncool that they're never even going to come back around? Like hopeless. These are the questions that I have, you guys. So I'm not going to keep you all day because like I said, I'm only going to continue to talk the same amount of time that I talk when Kayla's here. It's just that she's not here for the other half. It sounds like I'm bitter. I'm 1000% not. It's just her lack of being here is like a void that I can't fill. But I'm happy she's on maternity leave. Beep, boop, boop. What? Oh, I didn't want to make, that's what I'm saying. The moral of the story is I don't want to make y'all listen to me yip yap for an hour because normally it's balanced out with another person, which gives you a little less time to be overwhelmed by my behaviors. So since we don't have that available today, I will be leaving you with this roundup of things I need answered. Did you have Beanie Babies? Did you also think that they were going to make you rich? What was your most iconic Beanie Baby? As previously stated, mine was Princess Diana. Parents of children with Beanie Babies, what the fuck were you thinking? Did you actually think this was real? Were you hoodwinked? Who owned Beanie Babies and who did the marketing? If you can hear me, I would really like to hire you to do the marketing for my podcast. I will pay you in the profits of my Beanie Babies. And last but not least, Is anyone still collecting things now? What's cool? Is something cool? Shoes, I guess people collect. Alcohol. Is there anything else quirky? Do people go get little like tchotchkes when they go on vacation? I don't know. Mugs? I guess that's, oh man, those Starbucks You Are Here mugs. I know for sure there's some people out there that are collecting those. I wonder what else people collect. Deer heads. I almost would rather be friends with someone that collects taxidermy than You Are Here mugs. Every time I say something like that, I think about all the people that I might know that might collect the thing that I just pooped all over. But I also feel like I said it and I'm not going to edit myself out because that's kind of the point of this show. Okay. Well, people, that is that. Thank you for joining us. It's been a quick week, but I hope it was at least somewhat entertaining for you. Hopefully we get a little bit of listener feedback and I will read it back to you guys on next week's episode. And yeah, keep plugging away with us. You have to deal with me for 2 more weeks as a solo practitioner. Possibly 5, depending on how Kayla and baby are feeling, because they shall not be rushed. But when we get back in the groove, Kayla's going to share her amazing birth story with us. I'm going to cry. You're going to be inspired. And I know if you're a guy, you might think like, going to skip that. Abso-fucking-lutely not, especially if you're a father, especially if you think you ever want to be a father. You need to know what's happening because it's good for you. Okay? If you're planning on being a father and you're married to another father and neither of you are going to give birth, you might not think it's relevant, but that baby came from somewhere and at least you'll be able to explain to them the miracles of childbirth because someone carried it around somewhere. All right. Rants over. Many blessings to you. I hope that you turkeys have a great time in traditional form. Okay, love you, bye. And I'll see you next Tuesday.